Mr. Mark Harrison, you have a guest you'd like to introduce.
Thank you, Tom. We're very fortunate today to have a special guest today. Stephanie Bennett is here from the Dallas Public Library. She's the Genealogy and History Division Manager at the library. I believe has been there for 4 years in that capacity. Before that, she was the genealogy librarian. There, she has spent a lot of time planning, executing, and organizing different genealogy events with the library. And in case you don't know, the Dallas Library is one of the top genealogy libraries in the country. So we're very fortunate to have that resource here locally. She did earn a master's degree in library science from TWU and has 2 BA degrees from University of Missouri, Columbia. Mr. Swaniker, if you could turn off the lights, please. We'll see if we can get this to work. Magic.
Good morning. There we go. Thank you all for having me out today. I'm excited I get to talk to y'all about my favorite topic, genealogy at the Dallas Public Library. I was just telling the story at my breakfast table. I actually started out at the Dallas Public Library as an intern when I was getting my master's degree. I was interested in genealogy because my grandmother was sick, and I started asking her questions about her background. And when I was looking for my internship, I thought, oh, there's a genealogy department. That seems like it would be a fun way to spend my time. And lo and behold, they took me because I think they were excited that I was free. But I was able to impress them enough to where when they did have an opening, they contacted me and had me apply for the job. And several years later, here I am. So if you haven't had a chance to come down to the building, I hope you can see the slideshow. Everybody can see it a little bit? Squinting? Okay. This building right here is the downtown Dallas Public Library. It was built in 1982, and at that point they gave the genealogy floor a whole floor, but several expansions later we have a large genealogy collection that was built mainly by Lloyd DeWitt Boxtrop, and with that, we are recognized as being one of the top 10 genealogy libraries in the nation. It might be a little daunting to make the trip downtown, but I do drive up from Waxahachie every day. So if you ever get stuck, I can give you some pointers. We do have an underground parking garage, and you can actually take the elevator on up directly to the 8th floor. And right now, the parking is free because the parking meter is broken and has been broken for a while. So here are our fun stats on the library. We're a top 10 library, as I just said, but we are also the best library for browsing. Family Tree magazine ranked us, and that's based off of the large number of shelves that we have that are available for open browsing. A lot of people are under the impression that we just have Texas resources at the library, but we actually have we have material for every state and many international countries as well. A lot of the work that I did when I first started as the genealogy librarian was organizing a lot of the state materials by county. So I don't know if you remember doing research back in the day where you would pull that card catalog out and you have to sit there for an hour writing down the numbers. Well, we've kind of surpassed that a little bit so that now you can actually go to the shelf and look at the county books in alphabetical order that you want. So there's no more writing down, oh, I have to look in the state for this number, I have to look for this number. Should be all in one place, unless somebody's gotten really interested in reshelving things, which happens. We also have, besides your typical genealogy records, we also collect county histories. We collect any primary source material, how-to books, and anything that would help you flesh out your ancestors' lives. So if that's learning about like the social history of the time, we collect that material. Ethnic histories, we get a lot of materials on different communities and their migration patterns. A lot of stuff that you wouldn't normally think about the library having. We've got it, and we maintain we rely a lot on donations of one-of-a-kind family history books and other materials. So, our presentation today is kind of pulled into two parts. Why should you come visit me at the Dallas Public Library? And what are some things that we're doing online if you can't necessarily get downtown? But first I'm going to make the pitch for you to come visit me. This is a wonderful picture of our library staff here at the library on the 8th floor. We have experienced staff, some with over 30 years of genealogical research experience and specialized areas of expertise. We've got people who know all about maps. We have a newer library associate who actually just went to the Texas Institute of Genealogical Research and got certified in advanced Southern research. We have a new genealogy librarian named Crystal, who comes to us from the Dallas Archives Division, and so she's an expert on Dallas records, and she's our go-to source for that. And so we really have a diverse group. I'm sure you all know Mick Barnett. He is our DNA expert and is great with adoption records and colonial research. And we also have Ed Borninger, who lived for several years in Germany with the Army, where he was stationed there. And so he is able to translate a lot of German material if you've got any German heritage. And he is also great at pretty much all of Europe. So a lot of different backgrounds, and we can give you help if you're searching for that elusive record that you just can't get your hands on. We can help guide you in the right direction. We also have a large collection of vertical family files. These are research files that people have donated over the years. And it can contain anything from pages from a family Bible. I pulled out one day when I was curious a state fair pass from 1916 for a Mr. Osborne and his lady that had been donated. I've also found Civil War letters, all kinds of different materials that people have not had a home for or really wanted to preserve and have that be a piece of history. So those are always something unique that you can check with us when you're down there, down at the library. There is also an index on our website of the family names that we have files on that you can check out. We also have a small family Bible collection of family Bibles that contain genealogical history, and those are available on request, and they're actually still a processing project, so you have to ask to see them. We also have funeral home archives from Dallas area funeral homes. This is a really cool collection. Again, just because you don't know what you'll find in these records, they're varied in what material they covered. I was actually able to find my second great grandmother's file from the Ed C. Smith funeral home. And while that didn't actually give me any information that I didn't know about her, because I knew who her parents were and I knew who her children were, but what was really fascinating about the file was it had the handwritten undertaker's notes of him meeting with the family. And so he's scribbling these notes down. He said, this is their first death in Dallas, and so they just looked through a phone directory to contact someone. They were very pleased with their service, and it has not my direct ancestor, but his brother's signature on the bill, and how much it cost, and it's just that added piece of history that is fascinating and adds a more of a color to your birth, marriage, and death dates that we always kind of think about when we look for genealogy. If you've never been to the library, we also have a 7th floor. We're on the 8th floor, but we have a 7th floor, and that floor is the Dallas History and Archives floor. And if you've been to any other genealogy library ever, these two departments are generally combined, but as I understand it, there was a fight back in the 60s or 70s, and the two departments split ways, never to be reunited again. And so I like to make the joke that they took all the cool stuff with them. But they have a lot of Dallas area records that you may not know that they have. For instance, they have yearbooks from all over Texas. They have city directories, which are great if you're looking for information between the census records. If you can narrow down that area that the people were in, you can look in your city directories year by year and kind of figure out where they drop off the map. They also have maps from all over Texas, and then newspapers from all over Texas, a lot of which are going to be on microfilm. One thing that they do have that gets asked for frequently is going to be the Dallas Times-Herald. If you aren't familiar with the history of Dallas, the Times-Herald folded in the early 1990s and got bought out by their competitor, the Dallas Morning News. And the Dallas Morning News had never digitized the Dallas Times-Herald, so it's only available on the microfilm. So you have to kind of find your person's death date or date that you're kind of trying to look up and just shoot for the general place in the Times-Herald where that might be. They also have a large collection of vertical files for Dallas, all kinds of information on cemeteries throughout Dallas, civil court records from the time that Dallas County was formed up until 1939, and along with manuscript collections, which actually, very, very cool thing that they have is the Jane Douglas original scrapbooks that date back to the 1920s. I got to see one that we pulled out one day with the new manager of the 7th floor, and we were sitting there flipping through it and looking at the photos of when they marched for the women's vote. And she's flipping through, and all of a sudden she stops. And she said, "That's my ancestor right there." And I said, "How can that be your ancestor? You're from Massachusetts." And she said, "But that's my person. There was an article in one of the DAR magazines, and somebody just clipped it out. And that was included in the scrapbook." So you really never know what you might find in the manuscript collections. In the library, you can actually access a lot of some databases that you wouldn't be able to access from home. We have free access to the Ancestry.com Library Edition. So instead of having to pay to use it, you can actually come to the library and use it for free. You can also visit any nearby branch library and use Ancestry.com if that is more convenient for you. That's a new thing that they've just added in within the last year. We're also a family search affiliate library. If you do any research on familysearch.org, you may get a message from time to time that says, "You must be at an affiliate library to view this record," which, if you're like me, this happens late at night and when an affiliate library is not open. And I work in an affiliate library, so it's always, I need to look at this at work. But from the library's computers, you can actually view these records, these additional records for free, and save them and print them out, whatever you need to do. We also have AmericanAncestors.com, which is provided by the New England Historic Genealogical Society, and that contains a lot of information about colonial families of New England. At the library, we also have a wonderful volunteer desk that is staffed by mostly Dallas Genealogical Society volunteers. We actually have the most tenured volunteer staff in the entire library system, which I'm quite proud of. I can't actually claim credit for it, however. They were coming way before I started working there. But we have volunteers who spend 2 hours every week with us, and they help people with their genealogy problems as well. And they do that on an entire volunteer basis, and they take their jobs very seriously. And we so appreciate all the work that they do. We also have, we host most Dallas Genealogical Society meetings at the library. The Dallas Genealogical Society has a main meeting September through May every year, every year, but that features a speaker for free. Anybody is welcome to attend. You don't have to be a Dallas Genealogical Society member. This September is going to be the start of their 2019 meetings, and it's going to feature David Passman talking about how to use maps for your research. And so that seems like it's going to be a fun event. The Dallas Genealogical Society also helps us with our special interest group meetings that we have every month. And as you can maybe not see, I'm going to read through these. There's a group for kind of every interest that you can imagine. A lot of them are technology based, like if you need help with genealogy software or need help with your research online. There's also a DNA interest group, which is by far our most popular. That's led by our library associate, Mick Barnett, who kind of walks you through the ins and outs of DNA research. We also have an African American group and a Jewish interest group, and kind of a best practices in genealogy group. And you can get information about when these meetings are from the Dallas Genealogical Society's website, dallasgenealogy.org. Then upcoming events that we have for the fall, we're going to have beginning genealogy classes starting up in October. Those are going to be on Wednesday nights from 6 to 8. They're going to be mostly computer-based, so if you haven't done a lot of computer research or just want to learn some new tips and tricks, this is a good introduction. And we actually have a new computer space here, which I'm sure is also kind of hard to see. But we have a great instructional space right as you walk in, where you can sit and use the computers and get led by an instructor. Also in October, we take part in an event that's done by the Waco McLennan County Library. They actually created a network of genealogy libraries and put together this event that live streams from all over Texas, different genealogy speakers, all together in one place. You can watch this event live throughout the day, and it's going to feature a speaker on photographs, how to date photographs. There's going to be a speaker on military records and different technology and map related subjects. So they schedule speakers throughout the day. We just got the approval to stay open late just for genealogy patrons. So we'll be open until 8:30 on Friday, October 18th. So mark your calendars. More information coming soon. This by far is what I'm the most excited about. We've been working on this session all year. We are about to get something called a Heritage Lab. It is part of a maker space that we're putting in the library. It's going to be your one-stop shop for digitizing your materials. So whether you have a scrapbook that is deteriorating, if you have old movies that are on 8mm or VHS and you'd like to see them preserved, you can actually bring them into the library and we can show you how to use our new equipment. We tried to think of everything that you could possibly bring in. I think that we got everything. But whether it's a camcorder film that, from a camcorder, those heavy ones from the 90s, we have a converter for that. We also have a converter for audio cassette tapes. I'm just remembering back when I used to jam up the audio cassette tape and it would spill all the tape out of the plastic. So you definitely want to preserve that. I know my mom has one of me embarrassingly making baby noises. She thought that would be a cool thing to record for posterity. So I'm pretty sure she's going to bring that in for everyone. We also have ways to view and save undeveloped film, negatives, and any slides that you might have. We'll have a slide scanner. So that's coming September 14th. We've given them a deadline. So coming soon. You can also visit our website, and there should be a check mark to sign up for information about when that starts and what kind of classes we'll be offering about it. Okay, this is the section where I say, if you can't make it downtown, here are some great resources that we've made available for you to research online. With your Dallas Library Card, if you're a city resident, you are eligible to get a Dallas Library Card. And with that library card, You can check out materials from our circulating collection. We have a lot of how-to genealogy books and different resources related to social history, things like that, that you can actually check out. You can go online to our online catalog and make a request and have books from downtown delivered to your nearest branch. We also have, I don't know if you're aware, but we also have ebooks and audiobooks that you can check out from your tablet or phone. Also, you might not be aware, because this is a new development, but in June, City Council passed an amendment and said that the Dallas Public Library is going to go fine-free. So if you check out a book and aren't able to make it back to turn it in by its due date, you actually don't accumulate fines anymore. So if you were, sitting at home with your fine from, 10 years ago, thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to go back, that fine is cleared out. And the only time that we charge now is if you don't bring the book back, because we want the book back. So far, it's been really wonderful. We've had about, I think, 2,800 people come back and get new library cards, or update their library cards and get new library cards just based off of that information. With your Dallas Library card, you can also go online and use some of our genealogy databases. From our website, dallaslibrary.org, you just type in your little card number and you have a PIN, usually secret. That's the last 4 of your card number. They may try to make it easy for everybody. But from there, you can actually access Fold 3, which is a military database, so you can search through military records. Genealogy Bank, which is a newspaper archive, and that actually includes digitized Dallas Morning News, where you can just type in your person's name and you're good to go. It'll pop everything up right from the comfort of your own home. You don't actually have to be wearing shoes. And then we have Heritage Quest, which they just brought back, which allows you to search through census records. We've also been partnering with a website called FamilySearch.org, and they have sent out volunteers for our Heritage Lab, and they spend the day actually scanning some of our rare family history books to go online. Now, they're not scanning everything, but they are scanning the things that are out of copyright that they're legally allowed to put online. So I think that makes a lot of our rare family history books a lot more accessible. And it's books.familysearch.org. And you can actually see everything that the Dallas Library has contributed so far. We've had the volunteers since April, and they've actually already scanned 1,000 books. It's very cool. So I urge you to check that out. You can also visit our website, which is a little hidden, but it is dallaslibrary.org/genealogy. And from there, you can get a lot of tips and online resources and links to all one place. When I research late at night, I use this a lot. It has some go-to resources for Texas if you just want to browse around. A great resource that I use is the Portal to Texas History that has been digitizing a lot of Texas newspapers. I found all kinds of things that one-of-a-kind things that I haven't actually been able to prove. People that I have one ancestor that just has a year on his tombstone, and I was able to determine the day and month from a torn up newspaper obit that was actually, it had the last name, but it was cut off at the first name, but I know it's my guy. Also, through our online catalog, we've just started adding visual content to the catalog. So if you're searching through, you can actually find digital images and different resources from the comfort of your own home, just like you would look for a book, like the latest mystery thriller. You could also do that and find tons of photographs of Dallas. We're looking at providing more documents and images through there as well. But I just put this photo up. Again, probably not going to be able to see it, but this is of a young girl at a 4-H club meeting with her little prize-winning pig. And my husband laughed last night when I was putting this together. He was like, "That girl looks just like you." I was like, I don't think she's related, but she really does. And that I just found randomly by looking through our card catalog. So if you ever see something that says, see the full-size image here, you can click and actually see this image from the library. All right, any questions? Yes, sir.
I have a number of family photos scanned to CD disc. My son says I am way out of date. What do you recommend to save those on?
A USB drive, a little thumb drive, is pretty much the standard now. We can still read CD-ROMs on our computers, but our patron customer computers actually don't have CD-ROM drives anymore. So that's been kind of a hurdle for us to figure out how to adapt for technology. We actually have a portable one that we can pull up and plug in on a USB, but USB is the way to go. Yes, sir.
Being from southern Oklahoma, Plano, what are their library card requirements? Have to be a resident of Dallas?
Yes, sir. Although, check with the Plano Library, because a lot of their databases, you can actually, they have some of the same databases that we do that you can access remotely. And you can also get something called a text share card, which will let you check out 5 books at a time from the Dallas Library. Yes, sir.
Declaration of Independence that we have at the library, so comment on history of that very old document, how we came together.
Yes. We have actually, it's called a Dunlap Broadside of the Declaration of Independence. The story behind the Dunlap Broadside is it's the actual handwritten copy of the Declaration when it was written and signed. They had to figure out a way to share the Declaration and the information that was in it with all of the towns. So they made these copies by Mr. Dunlap, who wrote them out. They took these copies to the different towns and read it in the town square. And these are known as the Dunlap Broadsides. And very few still survive. The copy that is in the Dallas Library is the only copy west of the Mississippi. I believe it was purchased by the Friends of the Dallas Public Library. I'm not certain about the year, but I know that we are very lucky to have it. It is part of our fine books collection at the Dallas Library. We also have Shakespeare's First Folio, which is one of the first copies of Shakespeare's plays ever put together and bound. Those two are actually the permanent displays on the 7th floor. But there are many rare materials that are interesting to look at. The 7th floor staff stays pretty busy creating new exhibits that highlight the collection. The 7th floor just did a display for a Bonnie and Clyde event that they had. They pulled out the original mug shots and jail books from Bonnie and Clyde's associate's arrest. And it was really cool to get to look at all the neat things that we have from Dallas's history. Sorry, that was long-winded. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. I hope everybody enjoyed that. I know everyone in this organization has had to do at least some genealogy research or you wouldn't be here today. So hopefully you'll be able to better use the resources that are available for us. Stephanie, we would like to thank you for being here today. I would like to present you a certificate of appreciation for your efforts today. And also SAR compliment.
Thank you so much.
So, to add to your collection. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I got to admit, I've never been to the Dallas Library, but guess what? I'm going now. Didn't even know about the Declaration of Independence there at the Broadside. Thank you for bringing that up. And you said that was on the 7th floor collection, Stephanie?
Yes.
Perfect.